buddy's got $300 to spend on a trophy for himself. I'm going to talk about The Burning and this week's Weekly Rad. And now your host, Mike and Deglio.
What is up, team? Welcome to K&M Geekly. Just a sneak peek at two geeks talking about some of the things got them through the week, getting them through this week. My name is Mike and Deglio, and I'm joined, as always, by my Mountain Dude at 11, it's noon, friend.
It's noon? I've already had 2 cups of coffee, okay? I've been up since 8.
I'm working on one. Oh, he's got the stress sleeps. I had a bit of those. We'll talk about some upcoming projects. We'll talk about a bunch of things today, friends. You mean The Burning from 1981, right? That's the one you're...
Yeah,
okay.
I sure do.
Great. Can't wait. It'll be the best part of the show because Keith knows how to flap his talk gums. Keith, I have a lot to talk about today. There's so much. We have an overstuffed version of Geekly. My wife went skiing to not ski for her friend's birthday. They all got COVID.
Oh, yes, up to Killington, Vermont.
Yes, she's in your neck of the woods. Her friend whose birthday it is, husband has COVID. Because everyone has COVID right now, Keith, because everyone thinks they have a cold, right? Remember, we're gonna take the vaccines until we make it a cold. It's just like a cold with a terrible Russian roulette in it, I guess we could say. We talked about this already. We won't belabor the point. So I hope Jeff is feeling better. I hope everyone out there who just thinks they have the sniffles takes a test and maybe takes it a little bit more serious than you would.
Yeah.
But that means I was home this weekend, Keith, and I had lots of plans, buddy. Lots of plans. You know what I did? I sat on my butt, Keith, and I watched TV. Turned on my TV. But not only that, I did some other things, too. Let's start at the very beginning, as they say, buddy. Shall we?
I mean, yeah. I'm just here for the ride.
So I did some research. I used to be, like Keith, in way too many fantasy football leagues. Okay, fantasy football is a thing that grown men do because their body aches, and they can't go outside and play the real footballs anymore. So Keith and I have been in a league together for many years. It used to be so big that it was 2 leagues. You don't do the second league anymore, right?
No. It's now gone down. Yeah, no, I think I started this league in 2000. It's almost been 15 years since the league's been running. Used to be 2 14-team leagues. Now we've got to cut it down to a single league. But it's now the same old farts doing it every single. We have no turnover. It's the exact same rules every single league.
I also have another league that of the many leagues that I've stayed in. This is with like my closest core of high school buddies. But that league has dumbed down to the point where there is no investment. It is 100% bragging rights, and people's wives are involved, which is fine. Mostly, actually, they tend to be the most committed women I've found in this league. Because there was one team this year, Keith, in that league called Let's See How Auto Draft Does. Keith, it placed third. That team, the Auto Draft League, placed third.
Yeah.
That league, I have won out of the past 5 years that I've been down to 2 leagues. 3 of 5 years, that league, because I just have to breathe. And basically, so that league, I did invest in a trophy that basically just discusses my dominance.
Oh, wow. What an elaborate trophy.
I thought I would. And that's from Decade Awards, which is what we're celebrating today. But for Keith's league, I have one set. So that in the past, I guess I've been a part of it for 10 seasons?
Yeah, probably.
I have placed, my highest ranking had been second place. I had a silver medal. I had a bronze medal. Outside of that, Keith has winked out of existence. He tried too hard on his computer.
Right.
No.
Fucking cats.
I might need to invest in some redundancy. That seemed way too easy.
You just need
some tape. Put some tape over it. I need a piece of scotch.
Yeah, seriously.
Some gaffer's tape. Okay. Here we go. Sorry about that. My cat stepped on the power cord, quite literally.
Sure did.
Yeah, turned off everything. I thought I was going to be in for it. So,
but you were very quick to throw me under the bus. You texted me like, Keith, your stuff is broken.
Well, your packet loss indicator before was mine, it turns out. Anyway. That all said, this year I was really struggling in Keith's league, but a chip in a chair is what they say, and it came down, and I won by, I think, half a point, or a point and a half, or something like that. Anyway, So I had to deduce, since I had started building out a trophy collection for the other league just cause, and Keith got such a beautiful collection behind him, I had to judge, as you can see from Keith's, shallow depth of field, there's not a ton of detail or clarity in, that's not going to be, that's what I was working with. So I tried to assume exactly.
It's going to be fine.
Which he had purchased. And so, Keith, let me switch over to the A cam here, the unboxing cam. I got what I thought was the right one.
Very close.
Because as we know, in this day and age, I won't spend more than $20 on this.
Well, no, of course.
They do a great packing job.
Get bigger there. Yeah, there we go. So you can see these are... So the ones on the end here, while Mike is fighting a box, are from Yahoo... used to send you
a
trophy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this is like 2007 or something like that, before I had to start buying my own.
All right, let's see.
Wow.
Yeah, we have to buy them all, but, it's part of the fun. All right, there we go.
Wow. Whoa. That is a very substantial...
No, it's 6 inches.
That's bigger than mine.
Oh, really? Yeah, it's got this. The $20 it gets you 6 inches now.
Not enough money in the world for you, Mike.
There we go.
Hold on. I mean, it's a good-looking trophy. Here, let me put my camera back on.
Keith's like, I don't want to see me walk across the room. I know the feeling.
That's exactly damn right.
I know the feeling.
Nobody wants to see me waddle on a Monday morning.
I also don't know what pants I've put on ever, so you don't want to.
That's right.
Take any risks.
Yeah. So mine are smaller.
That's no doubt. They have some funny ones of like guys sitting on toilets and stuff, and I was like, but I need to have this in my house. So there you go.
No.
And they're not like completely hollow. They got some weight to them.
These have some heft to them. So
this is my first dual year win. So that's.
I mean, gosh, what type of what's a nicer word for loser? Is it that we buy our own fantasy football trophies? We buy ourselves trophies.
Yeah. Well, even better was, so one of my teams, I believe it's it's the other league I'm in. In yours, I have a normal kind of name, the Sticky Bandits, basically from Full House.
Full House.
Home Alone, of course.
Home Alone.
The cats have look at Tuxie has styrofoam all over him from the unboxing.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Good job, Tux. He's going to be pooping that in 2 days.
And my other league, though, is the used to be the NYC, formerly NYC, currently Exton Hairy Butts. And so I had to literally send that to like grown people to engrave for me.
Oh, it's a fantasy football trophy company. I can't imagine
what they've seen.
Yes, it's traumatic.
All right, so I appreciate your time in allowing me to have that. No,
moment. Congratulations!
Of course, this was the league I promised my wife. The year I promised my wife I was going to get out of the fantasy football game, but
and then you won, and then you
have to defend.
You have to defend. $300, buddy.
You have to defend.
You turned a profit this year.
I did. Well, of course, I'm gonna. If we add up 10 years of losing the entrance fee, I don't know that I turned anything. But
I mean, the house always loses because the house does not take a cut, and also many years not everyone would pay, so the house always loses. I'm still behind.
So the other thing I did that is crazy and so very me, Keith, that you'll appreciate is it's January, the new year. What Mike does is, some people like freshen up, maybe delete some files, and there's a thank you at the end of this. So sit back. Every January, I do a clean install of Windows. I format my main hard drive, and I start from scratch. I reinstall Windows, and I go through every single program and reinstall everything. Why, you might ask? Because...
I might ask.
Yeah. On a PC, Windows does all the crappy updates all year. You end up deleting a bunch of stuff, then you end up reinstalling a bunch of stuff, or you change stuff and all this, and you basically F up your registry. Unless you really know what you're doing inside the registry, it gets cumbersome, and things slow down. And even a super beefy computer gets a lot of stuff doesn't work or doesn't open or this, and I was having a lot of like bugs and crappy stuff happening that so I just did a clean install. And there's something very satisfying for an OCD kind of guy to have to go through and rethink all the programs he uses. Do I even need this? Do I want that? You know, I have a master list of everything on my computer, and I have to reinstall it all day. Well, Keith.
Wow. I mean, a therapist would have so many. We could spend a week analyzing that statement.
The thing is that I love it. I really enjoy doing it. And like the nice, and now I have a new setup and it all looks different and it's much more efficient and running fast and smooth and great. But
no, love it.
The process of bringing everything back, of actual workflow, is the pain in the butt part, right? Like OBS and all of your setups and all the things that you've spent to redo all of that would be hours of time. So it took me about 3 to 5 hours to reinstall everything, get my computer up and running. But all of my setups is everything's in the cloud. Everything's on Dropbox, which just instantly re-downloads to your computer. So I went and had a snack, and everything was back. So you've changed a good portion of my workflow with your insistence on the Dropbox family. And I do use the other cloud services, but Dropbox does, to me, operate the easiest. You are right about that.
Dropbox is fantastic.
Okay, so
I love it very much.
I then sat upon my butt, Keith, and watched some TV. And I'd like to talk a little bit about all of the things I watched because I want to share with the good people out there, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
You're going to get to talk in a minute.
I don't even know why I'm here.
It's the good looks, baby.
Yeah, it's true. Looking beautiful.
So there's a game called Ghost of Tsushima. I love it on PlayStation. It's like a samurai game. And I've really been wanting to go back to it, but I played so many hours of that game. I did everything you could do. Going back is going to feel a little redundant, but I just like miss the world. And so I was researching like a good samurai show to watch, and I came upon people talking highly about Netflix's Blue Eye Samurai. This is a show that gives off very anime vibes at the top. Now, here's the thing. I appreciate anime. I don't always love it because it's very specific in its hyperbolic type of acting style, art style, writing style. It's very big, large. Animation can be large, but I like a more subtle type of animation. Let me just say, this is written by a husband and wife team of Michael Green and Amber Nozumi, and it's co-produced by the French studio Blue Spirit. Okay. What's awesome about this show is the animation is incredible. It is very, the story itself is about this female samurai during the time in Japan where being is half American, half Japanese. This was basically considered an evil half-breed, and they were either killed or not allowed in the country. She is on a quest, take it or believe it or not, in a samurai show to find some people who have wronged her and kill them. And she has a special sword. You'll learn about why it's special. And she's just chopping fools up. But what I'm loving about this show, aside from just the art and it's very Kurosawa. It wears that on its sleeve. The action sequences are incredible. The characters are fun. It is very adult, Keith. I saw more dongs and other things in this show than I've seen on Skinemax. I mean, this is going for it. But it never feels gratuitous. It's like very based in the story. It's very...
I saw so many dongs, but it's not gratuitous.
It's not. It's so good. I'm halfway through the first season. It has been greenlit for a second season. I am absolutely loving it. The episodes are 45 to an hour. I'm really invested in where she is on her quest. I just can't commend it highly enough. It's so good. I don't know if they're French or if they're just working with a French studio, but it is so good. It feels video game. It feels cinematic, but it's all animation, and it is great. I highly recommend. It's my top recommend of the week, the Blue Eye Samurai. But I'm not done with French people, Keith.
Oh, okay.
Wait, but I have that. Let's see. It's this topic, I believe. And you know what? I'm just going to go in order. I'm going to go in order. Forget it. I'm not done with French people. We'll come back to them.
Okay.
But listen, you might know one of my favorite movies of the past year was Past Lives, which was a Korean film. And so I wanted to keep paying more attention to the foreign film race because you can miss some gems there. And a lot of people I'll keep names to myself, but cast off these films because they don't want to be bothered reading closed captioning, Keith. They don't want to read the subtitles. I get it. But I have to say that, wait, that's another film. I'm getting out of, but this one is also one of the documentary features of the year. This is up for the Academy Award. It's called Beyond Utopia. You can find it, I believe, on Amazon Prime right now. This is a story about it really focuses on two families attempting to get out of North Korea, defecting from North Korea right before COVID hits. And COVID basically shut down any attempts at defection. Maybe, I don't know how it's come back up to speed, but these are the last few people being defected through this particular source here in America. There are no recreations in this. This is all done with first-party film, either through hidden cameras or what they call intermediaries on the ground, and sometimes just like handheld phone footage from the families. I knew that defecting from North Korea was difficult. I didn't know how difficult. And basically, the reason for that is there are these intermediaries, right? Well, first of all, you hear the word atrocities being committed upon North Korean people, but because we have very limited first-party documented footage of this, you don't really feel it, right? We see the stuff coming out of Ukraine. We see the stuff coming out of the Israeli conflict with Hamas in Gaza, and you can spend hours of the day pointing the fingers in those situations. However, we don't, because we just kind of, the narrative is, well, North Korea walled themselves off, and so that's their bag, baby. It is not. These people are not only being, atrocities are being carried out upon them. One of the worst being just mass starvation, okay? But they are brainwashed from babyhood, right? That this is what's supposed to happen, that they have it, that they are living in utopia. There is nothing better, that this is, they are here to serve their gods. They actually stole the Christian Bible, made it illegal to look at, and just said, they just replaced Jesus with Kim Jong-il, and there you have it. That's their religion. It's insanity.
Well, it is the closest thing to Orwell's 1984. Like, turned into an actual living country.
So it spent a decent amount of time in the beginning kind of getting you up to speed on this. Also, it is encouraged that you spy on your neighbors so that you're under complete, the things they do to kids to just celebrate. I won't go into it. That's not the point of this. So then you think, okay, it's going to be such a heroic story of these people getting out. But here's the thing, man. There are these intermediaries that work for that are based in China, that are based in Laos, that are based in Taiwan, that are based in North Korea, that are helping these people get out, but it's all for profit. So 80% of the defectors are purchased and sold directly into human trafficking. But this is one of the best outcomes you can have, right? That's you basically cross this river and then hope somebody finds you, and either your options are you get found and killed instantly, found and sent back to North Korea for money and maybe killed or tortured, or if you're lucky, one of the people who was trying to turn a profit finds you and sells you into the trade to get you out. If you win the super lottery, one of these few altruistic folks finds you and pays huge sums of money to get you to America, or if rarely America, but like Canada or some of these other places, or North or South Korea. It is absolutely heartbreaking because this story follows, spoiler alert, but one family who has a more successful story, and even that, at the end of it, one of the people who escapes is this old woman, and she has to then face the fact that her entire life, Keith, has been fabricated entirely, and she now has maybe a few years to live with what actual freedom is, and realizing that is,
everything you've ever known is upside down.
And you see it in real time. They're having an interview with her, and she can't process it, so she has to go to all this counseling. It's oof. But then there's a mom who's trying to get her son out, and the story is a little less happy. And that is just, and then they kind of zoom out a little bit, and you realize this is the best case scenario. And then you realize, and the person who is funding this documentary, or is the intermediary who is basically selling this story to the documentary team, right, is this Christian man. They call him the pastor. He works for this, what appears to be some sort of a mega church, and is using that money to get these people out. And basically, it seems to me, is profiting in some way off of this experience, perhaps to just help other North Korean defectors. We could hope that's what the documentary tries to say. But my guess would be that that money is also used for other things. Who knows? It's all money, baby. And it is, so you're part of it in watching. It is a whole thing. But what I love about it is that it is all real. There's no reenactments. It is intense, man. It's up for an Academy Award. I don't think it has, my money's still behind that John DeBattiste documentary. But this one is a bop, guys. You got to check it out. Beyond Utopia. It's available.
It looks like it's available on PBS.
Okay, great.
On your local PBS station.
It's a tough watch, but it's worth watching.
Sounds harrowing. It's one of those things where you just the lens of the people exploiting the exploited people. It is continues to reinforce exploitation breeds exploitation. And
like, North Korea don't seem to be stopping in any sort of way. So,
they're propping up Russia and Ukraine now.
Oh, cool.
Crazy as that sounds. So.
Well, Keith, let's get in that time machine, baby. And let's go all the way back to 1981. We were just mere babes, and talk about a fun movie called The Burning.
Yeah. So as everyone who, you're one of the three people who actually watches this.
Yep.
I don't ever watch stuff contemporaneously. That's boring.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a sucker for 80s horror movies and loving the old-timey slasher flicks. And so just yesterday, just for the hell of it, because Amazon recommended it, didn't have any idea what it was, I watched The Burning, which is one of the many sleepaway camp rip-off. Friday the 13th came out, and then there was like a whole cluster of slasher flicks that take place at the camp by the lake, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whether it's Camp Crystal Lake, there was the Sleepaway Camp series, first one of which is unspeakably offensive, but and then the subsequent ones became funny. But here's one called The Burning, which I can't believe I'd never heard of. And so it was very
I just
strange.
remember garden shears. That's what I remember from The Burning. It's in the poster as well.
Have you seen it?
I believe so. That the image of this, when I looked it up, reminded me, the garden shears, I think I remember a scene or a kill or two from it, but I don't remember the plot. Although the plot's eponymous, right? It's the
plot.
Camp.
The plot is ridiculous. But what makes this film interesting, for those of us who like that genre? If you don't like that genre, it's terrible. Don't watch it. But if you like that sort of like it's bad, but it is sort of satisfying in its own sort of a thing, this hits all the things that you want to see. It's got good kills. It's got teenagers running around in the woods with their clothes off, like all the great stuff. But it also is interesting because of who is in it, making their film debuts. Fisher Stevens from 30 Something, of course, but Holly Hunter's first film of all time. You barely see her, but she's in it. But one of the leads is Jason Alexander making his first movie appearance. Cool. And it also features, one of the reasons I think it's satisfying as a slasher is Tom Savini did this. The special effects legend Tom Savini, who did Friday the 13th and all the famous movies that you know from that era. He actually turned down Friday the 13th Part 2 in order to do this film, which makes all the gore and the kills very fun and interesting because Tom Savini did it. So that was really cool. Slightly darker, but historically significant. a co-writer making his producing debut on this film, none other than Hollywood monster Harvey Weinstein.
Oh.
This was Harvey Weinstein's debut as a producer. So, anyway, if you like Friday the 13th, if you like Sleepaway Camp, you like the classic 80s slashers, this one's a pretty good version of it, and interesting that I hadn't seen it already. And actually has some pretty fun sequences. There's a fun sequence on canoes and a raft, and it's it's exactly the trash that you think it's going to be.
Can you walk me through your decision-making process? Like from clicking on it, why you decided to click on it? Did you research before? You just saw the shears and were like, let's do it?
Well,
where were you in your day? Was it background? Was it a focus watch? Where were we?
It's always like a second screen. Like this is like I'm playing Tomb Raider and I have this on my other screen. It came up on Amazon Prime as like recommended it for me, and I saw the poster and I look for two things. Poster, that looks interesting, right? I look for the year it was made. Because like 90s versions of these are terrible. But early 80s, like between 1975 and like 1985, that's a real sweet spot for these.
There's so much film grain, you can't see the movie anyway.
Exploitation. Well, but that's the thing. Then I click into it and I make sure that it is good enough to watch.
Yeah.
Like it's been a good HD transfer. This is part of like MGM Plus in their catalog. So the actual film looks great. They've gone up and fixed it and done a good 4K cut of it. And I need to watch like the first few minutes to see whether this was a competently done.
Yeah, you can tell instantly.
Instantly done. So it's trash, but it's competent trash with some really good people. And Jason Alexander's great in it. And he's clearly, they just turned the camera and said like, do your thing. And he's like improvising all of his stuff.
Awesome.
But is he
playing just like a squat, goofy guy?
Yeah, he's playing one of the campers, right?
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's trashy. It's great exploitation B movie nonsense. If that's your thing, if that's not your thing, don't watch it. But if it is,
it does bring up a good point.
Thumbs up.
We were watching Jerry Maguire on TBS or something because it's one of those movies you start scrolling by and you're like, oh man, this part, I loved that movie. Weird movie, really, when you kind of watch the whole thing. But anyway, we got distracted and we wanted to go back to it. And so I just found the Blu-ray of it. And watching the Blu-ray versus the television transfer of it was almost like two separate complete movies. If
you're watching a TV, like a TNT or whatever,
it's been degraded to a point where it's not even, it ruins the film. And it's,
plus it's interrupted with commercials and it's been edited and all that.
That aside,
will not do it.
Yeah. And we have just so many things at our disposal now. You don't have to watch good movies that way. Okay, so two quick hits real quick, but don't take my speed as a judgment because it's not the case. First, I wanted to quickly discuss, Keith, because we're getting so focused on film and TV and movies and stuff, that a new album came out I wanted to talk about quickly. That's not it. That's it, but that's not the thing. Wall of Eyes. It's by a band called The Smile, Keith. The Smile is a trio that is Tom York on vocals and Johnny Greenwood, the multi-instrumentalist, and then the drummer whose name I've always forget. And that's not cool.
Bill Nye.
The Science guy, yes. Tom Skinner. And so two of the three of those guys are Radiohead, basically. And it's funny, I'm such a passionate Radiohead fan for many years. My favorite band, without question. They've done so many side projects in the past 8 years that I've not really paid a lot of attention to because it's like looking at an ex with their new family, and they're great. It looks like everybody's happy, but I don't want to know her new husband's backstory, right? I'm not going to go look at their photo albums. That's the way I feel a little bit about Radiohead's side projects. It's just like they're not, there's something about their alchemy, but I know that's ridiculous. So I went and paid attention to this more recent side project for Tom York. Tom York, who is so influential in my musical sensibility and vocal sensibility and just all of these things. And it's so nice. People mostly know Tom York for the caricature about him, and they're just sort of shaking and wobbling and singing unrecognizable sounds and being depressed all the time. He's having fun here. There's a lot of, I don't want to say whimsy because it's still a Tom York project, but there's a lot of more up-tempo and fun sort of musical ideas here, and you can see him playing and stretching a bit, which is really cool. And on top of that, it's still very challenging, which is what I like in part of my music. I like very tonal music and pop music in some ways, but I also like to be challenged. And there are some incredible time signature explorations here, some jazz drumming underneath some really atonal exploration sections, as well as some like straight 4 chromatic stuff happening. There's and lyrically, he's a little more present and focused in the mix and making sort of sense a little more. It's not as abstract. A really cool project, really fun, and I was really digging how it sort of matched our background this week. The Smile debuts this week. There are some copies of it floating around if you want to hear it early. So check it out. The Smile. I think even to a mainstream audience, it would be kind of interesting. And then Keith, lastly this week,
nice.
I wanted to talk about just such an incredible movie. I have to imagine it's up for some Oscars. I don't know. This is a French film. It is called Anatomy of a Fall. You might be hearing some buzz about it. It is known as Anatomie d'un Chute in French. I do not speak French, so I don't know. It is a legal drama courtroom thriller. Feels as though it should be a true crime podcast, but it is entirely fictional. It is directed by Justine Treat, written by Justine Treat and Arthur Harani. It is starring actors I imagine are French. I do not know. It might be German as well. It kind of mixes. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Sandra Hüller, Swan Arlan, Milo Mushando Grant. You should look it up. I'm butchering these names. Keith, something special and magical about watching actors you don't know, but are working at the top of their craft. Absolutely incredible performances in this, especially the child actor, the brass. I don't want to give too much away about it. There's a husband, wife, and son who are at their home. The son is visually impaired. These are important things to know. The husband dies within the first 3 minutes of the film. The woman, he falls from the roof of this house. The woman, because they can't quite pin down the how or why he fell, is put on trial for manslaughter or murder. The son is visually impaired, so he is the only witness, but not much of a witness. Also loves his mom. And it is an exploration of the French legal system. It comes in stark juxtaposition to the American legal system, where it is pretty clear they are trying to find out what happened and not just lynch this woman, basically. And then the movie itself is so thrilling, and the courtroom drama is so thrilling, and the investigative drama is so thrilling. I can't talk much about it other than to say this is on Amazon Prime right now. It is a $4 rental. You absolutely have to watch it. It is probably my favorite film of the year, just in its technical prowess and the story, the compelling nature of like a podcast. Like, we're so obsessed with true crime, but what if you could have the true crime story, but with like professional actors doing it at the top of their craft? The filmmaking, cinematography, the score is incredible. Performances to a man are incredible. And what's really cool is that it's done basically in 3 languages. They speak English, they speak French, and they speak German throughout this film. I had to seek out specific closed captioning because at the beginning the options were no closed captioning, which does not work. English closed captioning, which just English closed captioned the whole thing, even when they're speaking English, which screwed my brain. But I found a subtitle that was let them speak English and then showed the English translation when they spoke German or French.
Oh,
it was really cool. I felt like I was multilingual and going through all that. It was really neat. Oh, what a movie. Anatomy of a Fall, folks. Whew. That's a banger. Right. Go France is all I'm going to say. That's this week. France did
such
well.
Highbrow recommendations this week.
Yeah, don't forget The Burning too. Put that on there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that, I believe, finally brings us to our weekly rad, Keith. You've got some cool things. I don't know if you can talk about any of your cool stuff, so I won't.
Yeah, no, I can.
Okay, cool. Go for it.
Yeah, so tonight we are doing a table read of my show, I Got Fired, for the first time in a very, very long time. I think it's been almost 10 years since I've done a table read of the show, this new version of it. Gonna be fun with some good friends and some folks.
What friends? Do we know any friends? Can you say anybody's name that's going to do the read?
Well, I mean, Jillian's going to do it. Right. Robert Anthony Jones is going to do it. Liz Ulmer will be there. That'll be really.
That's awesome. I've seen her in so long.
So very small, very intimate, just around a table. Just gonna see what happens. See how it flies. So
could you send me the opening track? I still sing it. It's my audition. It's my number one audition piece.
Oh yeah, the latest one. Yeah, I sure will.
That's exciting. We wish you well. It'll be awesome.
Yes, it's been great to dig that out. I've mentioned it before, but now I have a version of the show. It's a mashup of 1.0 and 2.0, and I think the best version yet. So there it is.
Just knowing that things you've put to bed then can come back out of the and breathe again is really cool. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I'll mention two things I want to mention. First, a happy birthday to will be friend of the show. We'll have him on at some point. My friend Ron Parson, really cool dude. Yes. Keith's on a text chain with Keith and I. Talks exclusively wrestling. But I'll just say the world is funny in that Ron and I met in kindergarten, the first day of kindergarten, because we both were the people crying in the hallway because we missed mommy. And so we eventually cried ourselves into a headache and then started talking, and we were best friends up until high school. And then we were just in different classes, and we kind of lived separately for a little while and didn't really chat as much. I'll mention that in 7th grade, we had a game, 6th grade, we had a game, we would go out to recess, Keith, called Quantum Leap, where I was Sam, and I had leapt into the body of a 6th grader. And he was Al, who we would pretend nobody could see him, and he was just like, beep, boop, 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 trying to help me figure out what my case was. And what my case always was get that girl to like us.
Hilarious.
So you could tell why we were buddies.
He's a great dude.
Great dude. Happy Years birthday. Later, his youngest daughter and my brother's youngest daughter became best friends. Right. And because of that, he started coming to parties, and we all struck up our friendship again. So weird kismet, really weird kismet. So happy birthday to Ron. And then secondly,
I put the track in the Geekly folder, so you can play us out with it.
Oh, I will do that. Cool. Well, I'll put it in post because my brain is fried. I've been talking too much. So happy birthday to Ron. And then lastly, just kind of the theme, we always talk about this, but I wanted to bring it up. So also this weekend, I was cleaning up the office to find a place to put my trophies. And I was going to get rid of this old fish tank where my poor fish didn't make it. And man, fish are a lot of work. Even when they're not a lot of work, they're just like, it's a lot of cleaning and just, you think it's a nothing pet, but it's not a nothing pet. I'm not getting another fish. But rather than throw the thing away, I just Googled a quick ChatGPT of what are some old things I can do with this old 5-gallon fish tank? And one of the things that came up was make a terrarium. And I was like, I don't know much about terrariums. And so I do that thing that Keith and I talk about, right? If there's something you want to buy, but instead of just going and buying it, you spend 30 hours researching the best versions of the thing. Well, Keith, I didn't just Google what is a terrarium. I mean, I started there. But I found myself, I think maybe 9 hours later with charts, videos, schematics, potential orders of soil, researching companies in the Pacific Northwest that could send me specific types of moss so I could make the best terrarium with the most fun growing trees. Some with what type of little insects won't get out and be buggy, but are good for the mold on top of the. Here's my point, folks. I grew up.
Mike needs more friends.
No, I grew up in school with convincing myself I was dumb because I didn't want to study the way that they told me I had to study, which was read this one book and do it ad nauseum and just torture yourself. And so I was like, well, I must be dumb. I must not be interested in learning. And it turns out that couldn't be the farthest from the truth. I'll spend 8 hours researching terrariums and in one day know everything about terrariums and know how much I don't know. In fact, maybe going to a workshop with my wife at a little terrarium shop in South Philly because I'm now interested in terrariums. The thing here is, folks, is that you gotta find your thing and your way of learning the thing, right? The universe has given us all of the technology and the internet at our disposal. You can find the way you learn. Don't let anybody tell you you're dumb because you don't do it their way. I know I'm talking to nobody on this podcast, but every time that's reaffirmed in my life, I just feel celebrated and
firm believer in that.
Yeah.
Firm believer in that.
Oh boy, I just got to. Anytime you get a work text on your watch that says "This is urgent," it changes the whole day. My whole mood I just set up just destroyed.
The day.
Because we're playing Keith's music going out. We're playing "I Got Fired." Don't get fired.
Are you gonna make it work?
I'll do it in post. Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, what a great tune.
Yeah, this is a bop, baby. I've always loved it. Listen, Keith, we wish you the best of luck tonight. Break some legs. Have fun. Just enjoy it. Enjoy your music getting heard. And everybody out there, enjoy anything you've been doing. Celebrate you. Get heard. Keep on geeking.
There it is.